Welcome back to the Bookcast. Today we are unpacking every layer of the incredible novel Crime and Punishment.
It's a huge undertaking, this one. A real monster of a novel, but so rewarding.
Absolutely. Get ready for a deep dive into its characters, themes, and all those hidden meanings behind the story.
You really have to start with the protagonist, Rodion Romanovich Raskolnikov. He's just inescapable.
Yeah. So let's set the scene. He's a young guy, former student, living in St. Petersburg in just extreme poverty.
Crushing poverty.
Yeah.
We're told he lives in this tiny little attic room, more like a cupboard or well, the book calls it a den.
Yeah, a den.
Yeah.
And he's terrified of his landlady because he's so behind on rent. It's this constant nagging fear.
And it's not just the poverty. The text describes him as being in a state of nervous depression akin to hypochondria. He's completely cut himself off.
Doesn't talk to anyone, barely leaves his room, and he mutters to himself.
Yeah, constantly muttering, like he's having this endless, agonizing argument inside his own head, which I suppose he is.
But physically, he's described quite differently, isn't he? Not like you might expect.
No, exactly. It says he's above middle height with a slender and well-proportioned figure, and he has dark auburn hair and fine dark eyes. So outwardly, he looks, well, presentable.
Which just makes that internal turmoil even more striking.
Definitely. And we see that turmoil erupt pretty early on during his first visit to the pawnbroker, Elena Ivanovna.
Yes, the dreadful old widow. He goes to pawn this old silver watch, right? With a globe on it.
That's the one. And she's exactly as you'd picture, sharp, suspicious. The text says she questions him dryly, but the money he already owes her.
Standard pawnbroker stuff, maybe, but his reaction is anything but standard.
Oh, not at all. Internally, he's just reeling. He thinks, how loathsome it all is. Can I ever? No, it is absurd. Preposterous.
And then the key line.
How could such a horrible idea ever enter my head? Could I ever be capable of such infamy? It's right there. The horrible idea isn't just a vague notion anymore. It's a conscious thought, a question of his own capacity for murder.
Wow. So the seed is planted explicitly, and then almost immediately we meet Marmeladov.
Right, this encounter in the tavern. Well, Skolnikov finds this man, Marmeladov, just completely drunk, rambling.
A tragic figure. But he says something really interesting, doesn't he? About poverty?
He does. He makes this distinction, this sort of philosophical point.
Mm-hmm.
Poverty is no vice, he says. It's just a circumstance.
Right.
But indigence is a vice. Because according to Marmeladov, an indigent man, someone truly destitute and maybe morally compromised, is driven out with a broom, humiliated. He argues that the indigent man degrades himself first.
That's quite a statement from someone in his condition. It feels significant.
It really is. It sets up this theme of self-inflicted degradation versus external hardship. It sort of foreshadows Raskolnikov's own journey, doesn't it?
It does. And Marmeladov's own story is just heartbreaking. His wife, Katerina Ivanovna.
Consumptive, yeah, with 3 young children from a previous marriage. And apparently she beats Marmeladov, pulls his hair. It's a grim picture.
But he keeps drinking. He even says he does it deliberately.
Yes, on purpose, to feel and suffer the more. It's this incredibly masochistic impulse. He wants to amplify his own suffering.
And the confession, stealing his wife's last few coins.
He admits it all to Raskolnikov, this stranger. How he stole her keys, took the money, left them starving for 5 days, how he lost his government job, pawned his uniform. It's a complete spiral.
And then that desperate cry.
Why should anyone have pity on me? The proper thing is to crucify me, nail me to the cross, and show no pity. Crucify me, Judge, but pity me as you do it.
That mix of wanting punishment but also pleading for pity.
Yeah.
It's intense. It hits right at the heart of the book's themes.
Absolutely. Justice, mercy, suffering, redemption. It's all there in that plea.
And Raskolnikov's reaction, he's disgusted by his own squalid room, his den, but he does something for Marmeladov's family.
He does. Despite his own situation, as he's leaving their apartment later, he quietly leaves a handful of coppers on their windowsill.
So even with this horrible idea brewing, there's still that spark of empathy.
Yeah.
Humanity.
Exactly. It shows he's not a monster.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway. There's this internal conflict, this duality. His theory hasn't completely taken over.
Okay, so the stage is being set. Raskolnikov's broke. He's thinking about how little is to be made by giving lessons. And then he has that weird exchange with Nastasia, the servant.
Oh, right. She asks him something about getting rich, and he says, cryptically, "So you wish to make your fortune at one stroke?" "Yes, my fortune."
Oof. Chilling, given what we know he's contemplating.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then comes the major catalyst, the letter.
From his mother, Pulcheria Alexandrovna.
Yes. And it's a long, detailed letter. It tells him about his sister, Dunya, and this really uncomfortable situation she was in with her employers, the Svidrigailovs.
Mistress Fyodor made advances, right? And the wife, Marfa Petrovna, found out and blamed Dunya.
Exactly. Marfa Petrovna initially slanders Dunya all over town, accusing her falsely. Dunya loses her teaching jobs. They're about to be kicked out of their lodgings. It's a mess.
But then there's a twist.
A huge twist. Marfa Petrovna finds proof of Dunya's innocence. A letter Dunya wrote, rejecting Svidrigailov. And she completely reverses course. She goes around town telling everyone Dunya is innocent, even showing copies of the letter that exposes her own husband.
Wow. That's quite a public turnaround, but the letter doesn't stop there, does it?
No, then comes the bombshell. The sudden and unexpected news. Dunya is engaged.
To Peter Petrovich Lushin.
Lushin, yes. Described as a man of means and of solid character, 45 years old. The mother praises him, but also notes he's a little stern and even haughty.
And the reason for the engagement, this is what really gets Raskolnikov.
It's explicitly stated. His mother hopes Luzhin will help Raskolnikov financially, maybe get him back to university. She even says Dunya would marry Peter Petrovich for that reason alone. They're sending Raskolnikov a little money now, 25 or 30 rubles, probably advanced by Lushin.
And Raskolnikov just explodes.
Instantly, pure fury. His immediate thought is, this marriage shall never take place whilst I live. Mr. Lushin may go to the devil.
He sees it purely as a sacrifice, Dunya selling herself for his sake.
Completely. He's enraged. Oh, mother, mother. He thinks if he met Lushin right then, he would have killed him. He feels she's sacrificing her dignity, her moral liberty.
He thinks she'd rather eat black bread and drink water than marry someone like Lushin for comfort.
Right. Not for all Schleswig-Holstein and not for Mr. Lushin. That sense of pride, of moral principle, is so strong in his image of his sister.
So this puts immense pressure on him, doesn't it? To act.
Tremendous pressure. Something must be done at once. Don't you realize this? It pushes his own desperate situation and his horrible idea right to the forefront. He feels he has to prevent this sacrifice.
And this internal pressure leads to another disturbing moment on the street. The drunken girl.
Ah, yes. He sees this young girl, maybe 16, completely drunk, reeling about. And there's this older man, a fat coxcomb, clearly planning to take advantage of her.
Raskolnikov steps in, though. He calls over a policeman, gives him 20 kopecks to get her a cab home safely. Another flicker of that empathy.
It is. But then, almost immediately, his mind twists it into something cold and cynical.
The percentage idea.
Exactly. He thinks a percentage. There is a scientific basis for it all, which soothes the mind. Who knows whether Dunechka herself might not be included in the percentage for next year, if not for this.
Reducing human suffering, vulnerability, even his own sister's potential fate to a statistic. It's chilling.
It absolutely is. It's him trying to rationalize everything, fit it into his theory, detach himself emotionally. It's a defense mechanism, but a truly dehumanizing one.
And this line of thinking seems to bleed into his subconscious, leading to that awful nightmare.
The dream of the mare. It's incredibly vivid and brutal. He dreams he's a child again, watching these peasants, including one named Mikolka, just mercilessly beating this old, worn-out mare.
They beat it with whips, then with a shaft, and finally Mikolka kills it with a crowbar or a heavy piece of wood. It's horrific.
And Raskolnikov, in the dream, is sobbing, trying to stop them. When he wakes up, he's profoundly shaken.
He connects it directly to the murder he's planning, doesn't he?
Immediately. God. Am I to stand beating in her skull with a hatchet or something, wade in warm blood? Oh, God. Is this indeed possible, and must it be? He's horrified by the visceral reality of the violence, questioning again if he's capable of such infamy.
The dream confronts him with the sheer brutality of it, stripping away any intellectual justification.
Precisely. It's his own subconscious screaming against the act. But the idea persists.
And then comes what feels like the final push, a chance overhearing.
Right, this seems almost like fate intervening, or at least that's how Raskolnikov perceives it. He's in the Haymarket and accidentally overhears Lizaveta Ivanovna, that's Elena's, the pawnbroker's half-sister, talking to some traders.
And she mentions she'll be out the next day.
Exactly. She said she has to go somewhere tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Raskolnikov immediately understands the significance.
Elena Ivanovna will be alone.
Yes. And he remembers hearing about Lizaveta before, how she was basically enslaved by her sister, worked constantly, gave Elena all her money. A gentle soul, apparently.
And he also recalls that conversation he'd overheard earlier between a student and an officer. casually discussing how killing the old pawnbroker and using her money for good might be justifiable.
All these pieces just click into place for him.
Yeah.
This overhearing feels like a sign, a confirmation. He sees it as having this peculiar influence upon his destiny. It removes the final obstacles, practically speaking.
The path seems clear. The decision is made now. The crime itself.
The lead-up is filled with this awful nervous tension. He's trying to convince himself his presence of mind and resolution will hold.
He needs the weapon, the hatchet.
Right. His first plan is to get it from the kitchen, but Nastasia, the servant, is there. He's frustrated. Later, though, he finds the caretaker's room unlocked.
And the hatchet is just there?
Yes, tucked away among some wood. He grabs it, makes a loop inside his coat to hang it from a detail showing premeditation, and secures it. He feels this strange surge, thinking there's more of the devil in this than my design, which perversely gives him fresh courage.
He's almost dissociating, attributing it to fate or the devil.
It seems like it. Then he goes back to the pawnbroker's building. He notes the sign on her door is gone, feels himself stifling, trembled like a leaf.
She opens the door just a crack, suspicious.
He gives her the pledge he'd prepared a fake one, a piece of wood wrapped up to look like a silver cigarette case. As she turns towards the light to untie the string, the dreadful knot, her back is to him.
And that's the moment.
He pulls out the hatchet, brings it down on her head. The description is stark. The blood spurted out in streams and the body rolled heavily over. She's dead.
He doesn't hesitate then, does he? He starts searching.
Immediately. Finds keys on her body, searches her room, finds a trunk under the bed filled with pawned items, gold trinkets, maybe some money. He starts stuffing things into his pockets.
But then, the absolute horror. The unexpected.
Lizaveta, her half-sister, walks in. She must have come back early.
And her reaction.
She's frozen in terror, offers basically no resistance. The text says she scarcely raised her left arm. He strikes her with the hatchet, too. Elizabeth fell down dead.
A second victim. Innocent, unintended. How does this impact him, do you think? Does it register immediately?
It has to shatter any remaining illusion of control or justification. Killing Elena was part of his theory, however warped. Killing Lizaveta is just brutal, pointless murder. It drags him instantly into a deeper level of chaos and guilt. It proves his theory utterly bankrupt in practice.
And the chaos escalates immediately. Someone's at the door.
Right, knocking loudly. It's two men, Koch and a student, who've come to see Elena. Raskolnikov is described as dizzy, but his survival instinct kicks in. He bolts the door from the inside.
The men outside realize something's wrong, argue about whether the door is bolted or locked, and eventually one runs off to get the porter.
This gives Raskolnikov his chance. While they're gone, he unbolts the door, listens, hears them going upstairs. He slips out and notices an apartment on the floor below that's empty and being painted. The painters had just left it.
He hides there.
Yes. Ducks inside, just as the men and the porter come back down. He overhears them deciding the murderer must have escaped. He waits until they go back up to the fourth floor.
Then makes his escape.
Slips out, goes downstairs, replaces the hatchet under the bench in the caretaker's lodge where he found it, and somehow makes it back to his own room without being seen.
And collapses.
Into a delirious sleep.
Yeah.
The crime is committed, but the real punishment, the psychological torment, is just beginning.
The aftermath sounds like pure hell. He wakes up in a fever, agitated.
Yeah, intense excitement. And the first horrifying realization is the blood. His trousers, his socks, his pockets stained. He frantically tries to check everything, tearing the lining out of his pockets to make sure he didn't miss any trinkets.
And then, like a sick joke, that summons arrives.
The official notice from the police. He assumes the worst, that they know about the murders.
But it's just about an old debt, isn't it? A promissory note he signed for his landlady?
Exactly. But in his paranoid state, when he first sees it, he thinks it's about the murder. And bizarrely, the text says he felt the load fell off his shoulders.
Yeah.
Because he thought the suspense was over, that everything was clear.
That's twisted logic, born of extreme stress.
Absolutely. But the relief vanishes when he gets to the police station. He's questioned by the lieutenant, Ilya Petrovich, who seems quite explosive, and Nicodemus Tomich.
How does Raskolnikov handle it?
Badly. He's defensive, reacts with sudden anger, looks pale as a handkerchief. He tries to act normal, but he's clearly on edge.
And he overhears them talking about the murder.
Yes, discussing the details, the bolted door, Koch's actions, the speculation that the murderer was inside and almost caught. They mentioned the painters, Koch possibly seeing someone hide in the empty flat.
This must ramp up his paranoia tenfold.
Oh, completely. He realizes they don't know, but they suspect someone. He thinks, search. They're going to search. The scoundrels, they suspect me. He even faints when they start talking about blood.
So now he knows he has to get rid of the stolen goods.
Definitely. He goes back to his room, pulls the loot out from where he'd hidden it behind a loose piece of wallpaper. He wanders the city, desperate for a place to ditch it. Considers the canal, the Neva River,
But ends up hiding it where?
under a huge stone slab in a deserted courtyard off V Prospect. He just dumps it all there, thinking he can retrieve it later if needed. It's a panicked, temporary solution.
And this really kicks off the psychological battle, especially with Porfiry Petrovich.
Ah, Porfiry, the examining magistrate. He's Raskolnikov's intellectual and psychological match. A brilliant creation.
And Raskolnikov is still clinging to his theory, right? This idea of ordinary versus extraordinary men.
Very much so. He even reflects on the article he wrote about it, how extraordinary man has a right to commit every kind of crime from the very fact that they are extraordinary.
He seems to be doubling down on it mentally.
Even when Porfiry questions him about religion, he affirms his belief in God and Lazarus. Is that genuine or part of the game? It's hard to say for sure. It could be a complex mix, perhaps a flicker of genuine belief buried deep down, but also likely a strategic move to appear more conventional, less like someone capable of a cold-blooded atheistic crime based on a radical theory.
Porfiry's approach is fascinating, not direct accusation, but subtle pressure.
Exactly. He tells Raskolnikov that sometimes a simple conversation, a friendly interview, brings about a more certain result than formal questioning. He has this theory about the guilty mind.
The butterfly theory.
Right. He says the criminal, if you give him enough rope, will eventually incriminate himself. He'll hover around the scene, around the investigation, like a butterfly close to the candle. Porfiry says, my man will hover, and he'll eventually come of his own accord when he is not even called. He believes guilt itself is the best trap.
He keeps probing, doesn't he? Mentioning the painters again.
Yes. Casually asking Raskolnikov if he saw the painters on the second floor when he went to the pawnbroker's the day before the murder. Raskolnikov denies it, maybe truthfully for that day. Porfiry pretends to drop it, saying he must have confused the days, but it's clearly a test.
Porfiry knows more than he lets on. He knows Raskolnikov fainted at the station.
He does, and he reveals later he knows Raskolnikov apparently shouted, I am an assassin, in a public place during his delirium. Porfiry is slowly tightening the net, using psychology, not just evidence.
Until he finally confronts him more directly.
Yes. He eventually dismisses the painter Mikolka, who later confesses falsely, saying, there is no question here of Mikolka. He is not the culprit. He heavily implies Raskolnikov is the real murderer and urges him to confess, promising a reduced sentence if he shows absolute spontaneity. It's a masterclass in psychological interrogation.
While all this is going on, life and death continue. The Marmeladovs return to the story.
Tragically, yes. Marmeladov gets run over by a carriage. He's fatally injured.
And Raskolnikov is there.
Yes, he happens to be nearby and helps carry the dying man back to his home, back to Katerina Ivanovna and the children.
Another incredibly grim scene.
Awful. Katerina Ivanovna is described as deadly pale, utterly desperate. Marmeladov recognizes her, asks for a priest, and she cries out, oh, our most wretched existence, before he dies.
And Raskolnikov, again, shows compassion.
He does. He gives Katerina Ivanovna basically all the money he has left, the money his mother sent to pay for the funeral. It's another instance of that deep contradiction within him. He can commit murder, yet still feel and act on profound pity.
And this is where he properly meets Sonia, Marmeladov's daughter.
Yes, she arrives at the deathbed scene. This interaction sets up their crucial relationship.
But before that develops, more complications arrive. His family.
Right. His mother, Pulcheria, and sister Dunya finally arrive in St. Petersburg. This forces Raskolnikov to confront the reality of the situation he tried to prevent Dunya's engagement.
He's still dead set against it.
Absolutely. He confronts Dunya almost immediately, demanding she break it off with Lushin. You are going to marry Lushin on my account. I will not accept the sacrifice. He's trying to dictate her life based on his own tormented sense of responsibility.
And then Lushin himself shows up. Talk about bad timing.
Or perfect timing for a confrontation. Lushin arrives at Raskolnikov's lodging while his mother and sister are there. He's furious about how Raskolnikov has treated him and Dunya.
He brings up the letter he wrote complaining about Raskolnikov associating with Sonia.
Yes, he doubles down on his accusations, calling Sonia a person of notorious conduct and implying Raskolnikov gave away the money Lushin advanced to this immoral woman. He's trying to drive a wedge between Raskolnikov and his family and assert his own respectability.
But Dunya doesn't stand for it.
Not for a second. She is Pale with anger, she tells Lucian unequivocally to leave. I have no kind of wish ever to see you here again. The engagement is clearly off. Raskolnikov backs her up. Lucian leaves, utterly humiliated and furious.
Dunya shows incredible strength there.
She really does. She refuses to be a pawn in anyone's game, Lucian's or even Raskolnikov's. She makes her own moral choice.
And just as one unpleasant character leaves, another arrives. It's Fyodor.
Ugh, Mikhailov. He just appears at Raskolnikov's room. He's heard about Marfa Petrovna, his wife, and there are dark hints about his own involvement. He even mentions people saying Raskolnikov killed the pawnbroker.
He knows. Or suspects.
It's ambiguous at first, but he seems unnervingly perceptive. He then makes this strange offer to Dunya, 10,000 rubles. Says he's going on a journey and wants to settle things, claiming it's unselfish.
Highly doubtful coming from him.
Extremely. He then starts spouting this bleak philosophy, his idea of eternity being like a dirty, spider-filled small bathroom. It's pure nihilism.
And he draws a parallel between himself and Raskolnikov.
Explicitly. We are tarred with the same brush, he says. He sees a kinship in their shared transgression. They're stepping outside conventional morality. Svidrigailov represents the cynical, sensualist path Raskolnikov could take if he fully abandoned any hope of redemption. He's a truly disturbing figure.
So Raskolnikov is caught between Porfiry's psychological pursuit, his family's arrival, Lucian's spite, and Svidrigailov's creepy manipulations. Where does he turn?
He turns towards Sonia. This becomes the pivotal relationship for the rest of the novel.
He visits her room. It's described as incredibly poor, isn't it?
Extremely basic. Just a few pieces of essential furniture, a chest of drawers. He knows how thin she is. It highlights her material poverty, which contrasts sharply with her spiritual strength.
She tells him about Katerina Ivanovna's state.
Yes, how Katerina is becoming increasingly delusional, talking about getting an annuity, clinging to her pride despite their utter destitution. Sonia cares for her stepmother and the children with incredible patience.
And then Raskolnikov makes that strange request to read from the Bible.
It's a hugely significant moment. He asks her to read the story of the resurrection of Lazarus from the Gospel of John.
Why Lazarus?
Because Raskolnikov sees himself as spiritually dead. He's testing, perhaps, whether resurrection is possible even for someone like him. He, the rationalist murderer, is asking the fallen woman, the prostitute with unwavering faith, to read him a miracle story.
And Sonia reads it with great emotion.
Deeply felt emotion. The act itself and her faith visibly affects Raskolnikov. It bypasses his intellect and touches something deeper. It's the first real crack in his armor of pride and theory.
This leads directly to his confession to her, doesn't it? At least partially.
Yes. Soon after, he comes back. He tells her first that he's broken ties with his mother and sister, effectively isolating himself further. And then he confesses.
He tells her he killed Elena and Lizaveta.
Yes. He lays it out, the hatchet, the murders, taking the purse and trinkets, hiding them under the stone. It just pours out of him.
And his motive, how does he explain it to her?
He struggles. He says it wasn't for money, not really to help his mother. It was an experiment, to find out if I was vermin or a man, to see if I had the power to break through obstacles like Napoleon.
His extraordinary man theory again.
Exactly. But he admits the failure. I wanted to dare, and I killed. I only wanted to dare Sonia. That was the whole reason. He confesses he could not step over the barrier without destroying himself. He's no further than before. The theory didn't make him strong. It just proved his own weakness and capacity for evil.
How does Sonia react to this horrifying confession?
Her reaction is one of profound compassion and shared suffering. She's horrified, yes, but her immediate response isn't judgment. It's pity and love. She famously declares, I shall follow you everywhere. Yes, I will go with you to the galleys.
She accepts his burden as her own.
Completely.
Yeah.
And she gives him a small cypress wood cross to wear, taking another one for herself. It's this incredibly powerful symbol of shared faith and the path of suffering towards redemption that she offers him.
Her acceptance is the first real hope he encounters.
It's unconditional love and faith in the face of his utter depravity. It's the antithesis of his cold, rational theory.
But the world isn't finished with Sonia yet. Luzhin seeks his revenge.
Yes, the rejected suitor. He concocts a vile plan. At the funeral dinner for Marmeladov, which is already a chaotic and miserable affair hosted by Katerina Ivanovna.
Luzhin accuses Sonia of stealing from him.
Publicly, yes. He claims that when he gave Sonia 10 rubles for Katerina earlier, she stole a 100-ruble note from him. It's pure malicious slander.
Katerina Ivanovna defends her fiercely.
Oh, absolutely. She forces Sonia to turn out her pockets to prove her innocence. Nothing. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, a folded 100-ruble note falls out of Sonia's pocket. It looks like Luzhin has framed her perfectly.
But someone saw him do it.
Thankfully, yes. Libizyatnikov, Luzhin's somewhat naive but idealistic roommate, the most advanced young liberal, steps forward. He announces he saw Luzhin secretly slip the note into Sonia's pocket earlier.
Why would Libizyatnikov expose his own roommate?
Libizyatnikov explains Luzhin's motive. It was revenge against Raskolnikov and Sonia, partly because Luzhin hated Libizyatnikov's progressive antisocial doctrines, which Raskolnikov seemed interested in. Luzhin wanted to discredit them all.
So Sonia is vindicated, but the damage is done to Katerina Ivanovna.
Completely. The stress, the humiliation, the chaos, it pushes Katerina Ivanovna over the edge. She has a complete breakdown, gets evicted, and ends up taking her children out onto the street, making them sing and dance, trying to beg. It's utterly tragic. She eventually collapses, hemorrhaging, and dies soon after.
Just relentless tragedy surrounding the Marmeladovs. Meanwhile, Svidrigailov makes his final moves.
His story reaches its dark conclusion. He essentially traps Dunya, Raskolnikov's sister, luring her to his room.
And he confesses the murders to her?
Yes. He reveals he overheard Raskolnikov's confession to Sonia. He knows everything, the hatchet, the hiding place. He uses this knowledge to try and blackmail Dunya, saying he can save Raskolnikov from Siberia if she agrees to be with him.
It's predatory and manipulative. How does Dunya react?
She's terrified but strong. She pulls out a revolver Svidrigailov didn't know she had. She actually fires at him twice, but misses or grazes him. She realizes she can't kill him, throws the gun down. Svidrigailov, perhaps shaken or seeing the futility, lets her go, giving her the key. She escapes.
Another testament to Dunya's strength. What happens to Svidrigailov then?
He seems to reach his own point of no return. He spends a final night in a sordid hotel, haunted by disturbing dreams, including one involving a violated child. He gives away his remaining money.
And then?
He goes out early in the morning, finds a deserted spot near a watchtower, sees a soldier standing guard. He tells the soldier he's going to America and calmly raises the revolver to his own temple and shoots himself.
A bleak end, confirming his view of eternity as nothingness.
Exactly. No redemption, no struggle, just despair and oblivion. He embodies the ultimate dead end of a life lived without moral constraints or spiritual hope, a dark contrast to the path Raskolnikov, however painfully, is now being forced onto.
Which brings us back to Raskolnikov's final steps towards confession.
He knows he has to confess. Porfiry is closing in. Sonia is urging him to accept his suffering, and Svidrigailov's fate perhaps serves as a warning. He goes to say goodbye to his family.
How does that go?
It's heart-wrenching. He gives vague farewells to his mother and Dunya. His mother seems to sense something final is happening. She's deeply distressed. Dunya understands more, perhaps, and is distraught but resolute.
He seeks out Sonia one last time.
Yes, for strength, perhaps. She gives him the Cypress Cross again, urging him to step publicly to kiss the earth and accept his punishment.
And he goes to the police station.
He does. He walks in, finds Ilya Petrovich, the powder keg lieutenant he met before, and finally, brokenly, he confesses.
He tells them everything.
Everything. It was, I killed the old pawnbroker woman and her sister Lizaveta with an axe and robbed them. He details the crime, the motive, or lack thereof, the hiding place. The burden is finally lifted, in a way.
What happens at the trial?
His confession, combined with factors like his previous illness and poverty, works in his favor to some extent. The court leans towards the view that his mind was unbalanced, or he was overcome by remorse.
Does his previous good deed help? Testified by Razumikin.
Yes. His friend Razumikin testifies about Raskolnikov previously helping a poor, consumptive fellow student and his father. Also, the fact he didn't actually use the stolen goods and confessed even after Mikolka had falsely taken the blame suggests something other than pure criminal intent.
So the sentence?
Mitigated. He gets 8 years of penal servitude in Siberia. Not the death penalty or life sentence.
And his life in the prison camp. It's not immediate redemption, is it?
Far from it. Initially, he's still isolated, proud. The other convicts, mostly common peasants, dislike him. They sense his intellectual arrogance, his feeling of superiority. Even in prison stripes, he still clings mentally to his extraordinary man theory, unable to truly repent.
His mother dies while he's away.
Yes. Pulcheria Alexandrovna dies, essentially from grief and a sort of fevered denial, having suspected the worst about her son. Dunya eventually marries Razumikin.
Raskolnikov has another significant dream in prison, doesn't he?
He does. A dream about a terrible plague spreading across the world, infecting people with a madness that makes them think they alone possess the truth. Everyone becomes self-righteous, unable to agree on anything, leading to total chaos and self-destruction.
A reflection of his own intellectual sickness.
Absolutely. It's like a vision of his own theory universalized, showing its destructive potential. It shakes him deeply.
But Sonia is there.
Sonia is his salvation. She follows him to Siberia, settles in the nearby town, visits him when allowed. Her quiet devotion, her simple goodness, gradually earns the respect of the other prisoners and eventually begins to penetrate Raskolnikov's defenses.
And the final breakthrough.
It comes after he recovers from a serious illness. He's sitting by the riverbank one day. Sonia comes to him, and finally something breaks inside him. He weeps, embraces her knees. He realizes he loves her deeply.
The pride finally cracks.
Completely. He understands that his pride was the real sin, the real barrier. Love, humility, and shared suffering embodied by Sonia are what open the door to a new life. It's not fully realized yet. The novel ends on the beginning of this renewal, but the path is finally clear. Redemption is possible not through intellect, but through the heart and spirit.
And there you have it. What a journey into the human condition, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely profound. Dostoyevsky doesn't offer easy answers, but explores the darkest corners and the possibility of light with incredible depth.
Raskolnikov's ultimate redemption, fragile as it is, emerges from profound suffering and genuine human connection. It makes you wonder, what forms of suffering or what kind of unwavering human connection are truly necessary for us to confront our own internal demons and find our own path to a new life?
A question that stays with you long after you finish the book.
Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us on this deep dive into crime and punishment. If you enjoyed it, a simple like or subscribe helps the channel out more than you know. Be good and take care.